To people outside one's inner circle, many doctoral students project an image just like these learners, put together, in control, motivated, and successful. But at home, our closest friends and family know the struggle is real. Does this situation look familiar? When we think about the literature review or writing any of the dissertation chapters, we've all been there. It's that frustrating feeling of overwhelm. Can you relate to any of these thoughts? Today, I'm going to help you get back on track. Benvenuti, scholars. I'm Dr. Markette, and my channel is all about helping you graduate with your doctorate. Today, I'm going to tackle time management and writing strategies when it comes to writing your Chapter 2 literature review so that you can lower your stress levels and writer's block during your doctoral dissertation experience. This video has two main parts. First, I've invited one of my current doctoral learners, Suzie Witmer, to join me to share her experience writing Chapter 2 through using a detailed outline. Let's get a preview of her advice now.
Ultimately, when you trust the process and you invest the time, the results are a quality finished product.
After that, I will show you step by step how to transform your table of contents into a workable timetable so that you will know exactly what you need to write on any given day of the month in order to complete your Chapter 2 literature review in 1 month. The best projects adhere to the saying, plan your work and then work your plan. So let's look at the typical Chapter 2 headings found in most program templates for the literature review chapter. Of course, your institution may have more or less than these. Chapter 2 normally starts with an introduction, followed by the theoretical or conceptual framework. What follows is the heart of the chapter, the review of literature, before concluding with some sort of summary section of the chapter. Note that the review of literature is a section within the literature review. The first is a section, and the second is the name of the chapter. This sometimes causes students confusion. What is most important to your writing plan is the expected lengths of each of these headings. And again, make adjustments to this content based on your institution's directions and rubrics. Generally, the introduction is somewhere between 2 and 5 pages. The next section, the theoretical framework, is generally about 2 to 4 pages to set the stage for the theories that will guide your study. Then comes the review of literature at a whopping 30 to 60 pages. Why is it so long? Well, this is the meat of the entire chapter. It is in the review of literature that the doctoral learner must evidence his or her breadth of knowledge in the field of study and create a sort of defense or justification for the need for the study itself. It must be more than a book report or a list of one study after another related to your topic, but instead an actual synthesis of that prior research convincing your committee that this study is justified in being done. And after the review of literature, the chapter generally wraps up with a summary that's about 2 to 3 pages, bringing together what you've said and introducing the reader to what's to come in the next chapters. The next step is key. Writing the detailed chapter outline. You see a version of Suzie's appearing on the screen here. While I know that most people will not be able to see the tiny print here, the point is that the yellow headings represent each of those chapter sections, and from this, Suzie was able to plan out and write her work much more efficiently. Let's have her share her own experience.
I'd like to introduce one of my students that currently is writing Chapter 2 and has used an outline. Hi, Suzie.
Hi, Dr. Markette.
There are probably a lot of people who tune into these videos who have many hats that they wear, like you do. Share with us a bit the things that you have on your plate.
So in addition to being a doctoral student, I'm a full-time faculty member and co-department chair at a community college. I'm a wife, and I'm also a mom.
So I take my hat off to our scholar practitioners. I think what they're doing is heroic. In particular, what you're doing and modeling for your son, I think will pay dividends in generations to come. So let's talk about your Chapter 2. When we first talked about creating an outline, did you have hesitations in regard to that outline, or was that something that was natural for you?
At that time, I was thinking, I'm a little hesitant. I don't think I need to really write the outline. It takes a lot of time. And I just was anxious and excited to get started writing. I had an idea already in mind of how I wanted to organize the chapters. So at that time, it wasn't detailed. It was just a very simple outline, but I really didn't want to put a lot of time involved in that because I was anxious to start writing. So I didn't create one at the beginning. I just started writing. And the further I got, the more I got lost, which required me to revert back to a detailed outline and developing one. In hindsight, it ended up being a time saver. In hindsight, it ended up being a time saver.
In hindsight, it ended up being a time saver. One of my favorite terms that you used was this idea of chapter chunks. So describe just briefly what a chapter chunk is and how it influenced your progress with chapter 2.
So chapter 2 is extremely extensive and there's a lot to it. So chapter chunks is just a step that I would check off in the process of my outline and then move on to the next chapter or next chunk of the chapter, which would be like the review of literature, since it's extensive in a lot of pages. So in order to get to the end line, I would just break it up into the chapter, check off each step as I move through, and then you can also see your progression. And it's actually motivating because you're accomplishing a lot through the chapter.
So when you wrote those chapter chunks, did it contribute to you feeling like you were going through the process more quickly? Maybe each chunk was long, but the chapter comes together more quickly. Talk about that just a bit.
It keeps you focused and organized. So when you've accomplished one chunk of that chapter, you move on to the next. I think it was very helpful, and it actually made the process a little quicker.
Was there any point where you looked and you said, oh my gosh, I'm making a lot of progress now, and this is picking up faster than I thought that this 50-page chapter was a bear, and now look, I'm almost there?
Absolutely. Especially when I had to remove some of the information and another theme emerged in my literature, I was able to quickly add it in by using that working outline. So it's been helpful, and it's just been an ongoing process that is rewarding.
Is there anything else that you would share with other students that are about to start their chapter 2?
Take the time, invest the time in creating a detailed outline. It's certainly been beneficial, and it trust the process. So by doing that and spending the time, you're going to be pleased, and it's an invaluable step to create a quality finished product.
I want to thank you because this channel is all about helping students get to graduation, and your experience is going to do exactly that. So thank you, Suzie, for sharing your experience with the rest of the students.
Thank you, Dr. Markette.
So let's put all of this into actionable steps. This is Suzie's detailed outline along with the page numbers that are normally expected in each section. Again, check your institution's rubrics and adjust as needed. I like to advise learners to allot one day for anywhere from 1 to 3 pages of writing and allow some slush days in case any emergencies or unexpected delays happen. With that in mind, let's plan out the month. If the intro is 2 to 5 pages, then 4 days should be plenty to allow for writing, proofreading, and revision. The next section is the theoretical framework, so 3 days for 2 to 4 pages should also be enough. Therefore, in this week, you've made some good progress. Next is the section that typically intimidates doctoral students the most, the review of literature. Since this section generally spans anywhere from 30 to 60 pages, depending on your institution, you really need to double check your rubrics and tailor this plan to you. However, with the expectation of the low end of 30 pages, 24 days should be enough. But let's not end the planning here. Let's use Suzie's idea of chapter chunking with that in mind. I've created an example of what that might look like depending on the number of sections and subsections listed in your detailed outline. Remember, the detailed chapter outline is key to your success. Yes, it may take up to a week to research, plan out, and write this outline. But as Suzie experienced,
I didn't create one at the beginning. I just started writing. And the further I got, the more I got lost. take the time, invest the time in creating a detailed outline.
So by evaluating each section of the detailed chapter outline, you can assess how many days to chunk for each part of this section. In this example, I allotted anywhere from 3 to 5 days for each of the 6 sections, and then added another 5 days at the end for the conclusion of the review of literature, as well as the very important steps of proofreading and any further revisions. For some people, this may be where you would send the chapter to your editor and then work on those edits. Then the last 2 days are saved for the short 2 to 3 page summary of the entire chapter. So there you have it, a potential plan for completing the entire Chapter 2 literature review in 1 month.
As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful as you tackle writing Chapter 2 and the other chapters in your proposal. Please join the community of scholars on this channel as we help each other get to graduation. Subscribe and turn on the notifications, and let me help you get to graduation.